Greetings, one and all. Richard Fulmer here. So I thought I'll drag myself away from the World Cup just for a sec, just to do this video. I've been meaning to do it for a while, but sometimes sport takes over, and I mean, it's the World Cup, so I've been trying to watch as many games as possible. Been some interesting ones, and so that's what I've been sort of getting my brain around for the past couple of weeks, the ins and outs of football. But I thought, let me just chat about some of the music that I've also been listening to in the past month or so. And some interesting stuff. Some in my collection. As you know, it always happens. You've got records in your collection that you haven't listened to for so long that you've forgotten about. And the first song that I'm going to chat about is definitely one of those. And it was really great to revisit this album because I think it gets overlooked, or maybe it's not even known about that by many people. I'm talking about Deep Purple, and the album is called Deep Purple in Concert, and it's from the 70s, early 70s. So it's the Ian Gillan, Ritchie Blackmore, Roger Glover, Ian Pace, and John Lord lineup, of course. And there we go. That's the album cover, Deep Purple in Concert. There's some shots at the back. There's Ian Gillan, John Lord, Ian Pace, Roger Glover, of course, Ritchie Blackmore. There's another shot of the band. So when did this come out? This came out in no date here, but I think it would have been in the 70s sometime. Maybe after Gillan already left, I think this was released. So it's Deep Purple in Concert, 1970 and 1972. I think this is mostly in Europe, I think. The Reindeer Theatre, maybe that was the States. But yeah, incredible album. And when you listen to this, there we go, there's some nice shots of the band playing live. When you listen to this Deep Purple, back in these days, at least, not so much anymore because things change, tastes tend to change. When they were doing this live concert, a lot of jamming, a lot of lengthy, almost like a southern rock jam kind of thing for a lot of the tracks. And you'll see what I mean here. It starts off with Speed King, which is, of course, a classic. That's 6 minutes. Then you get Ring That Neck, which is from the early, I think it was almost like a B-side, Ring That Neck. It does appear on one of my other best of Deep Purples. Anyway, that's 18 minutes and 30 seconds. So you see what I mean? There was a lot of, sort of interplay between Lord and Blackmore, and of course, the brilliant drumming of Ian Pace. And Child in Time is the next one up. That's on side 2, 10 minutes. Mandrake Root, 17 minutes. Some of these tracks may not be, you may not recognize them straight away because they don't often appear on a lot of their live stuff, especially Mandrake Root and Ring That Neck, but that's from those days. Then you get side 3 with a few more well-known tracks. Highway Star, which is 6 minutes. Strange Kind of Woman, 8 minutes, which is also quite lengthy for that track. Lazy, which normally had the Ian Pace drum solo. And Never Before, which I think was also from Machine Head. And then it finishes off with a mammoth version of Space Trucking, which I think they still play to this day. I think Ian's voice can still handle that one. Or is it Speed King? Anyway. And that's 22 minutes and 14 seconds. They really spread things out with that track. And it finishes off with looks like a cover, Lucille, which I think they have done a few times. So total playing time of the 2 record set is 108 minutes and 47 seconds. So you get your bang for your buck here with this album. And the playing is exemplary, of course. It's Deep Purple, back in early 70s to mid 70s, they were really firing on all cylinders. I don't think they'd ever reached the same peaks as this. They're still going to this day, and that's the other thing I wanted to mention. Anyway, that's Deep Purple in Concert. So, the other thing I want to mention about Deep Purple is next month, July, their brand new album comes out, and I must be honest, the 2 tracks that I've heard thus far, I think the first one was Arrogant Boy that was released, blew me away. Ian Gillan is now 80, And yes, he can't do Child in Time, etc., etc. So he's got to bring it down a bit. Still sounds great. Ian Pace still cooks on the drums. Roger Glover still holds it down. Simon McBride, the guitarist, has really given these guys a shot in the arm. And his guitar work sounds amazing. On Arrogant Boy, there's some really nice interplay between him and keyboardist Don Airey. Of course, Don Airey's been with so many people. I'd have to have a separate show just to talk about Don Airey and who he's played for. But yeah, it sounds amazing. So I thought, what the hell, next month's my birthday. Yes, I'm getting older, folks. So I'm going to treat myself, get myself a copy of the brand new Deep Purple called Splat. That's the name of the album. So that's one to look out for. I haven't got it yet. When I do get it, I'll give it a good listen and then I'll let you know what I think about it and all the rest of it. So there we go. That was Deep Purple in concert. And here's an album which I do have on CD, but I got this, I can't remember who gave me this record. I think somebody was getting rid of their collections, or I picked it up for nothing, like $20 or something at a vinyl fair. Can't quite remember. Well, probably the early Jethro Tull, and this is one of my favorites. Album called Benefit, which features John Evans on keyboards, although he wasn't a full-time member yet of the band. It was Clive Bunker on drums, Ian Anderson on flute and all the rest of it, vocals, etc., Glenn Cornick on bass, and Martin Barr on guitar. This is definitely Martin Barr. For me, it's his highlight of his early part of his career with Jethro Tull. Some amazing riffs, quite a heavy album in spots, in fact, and some really great guitar solos. It says here, piano and organ played by John Evan for our benefit. Clever. The cover of this, as you can see, is it's had a lot of wear and tear, but I mean the record inside's still okay. It's a bit torn here. I need to fix this up a bit, but I mean, I'm not that hassled about covers. On the Chrysalis label, of course, and there's some great tracks on here. With You There to Help Me, Nothing to Say, Alive and Well and Living in Sin, for Michael Collins, Jeffrey and Me. Now, who those people are, I think that Jeffrey is Jeffrey Hammond, who actually would join the band later. And then side 2's got some incredible songs. To Cry You a Song. So Ian Anderson's vocals on this album were really good. These days I think his voice is a bit shot. He doesn't really sing anymore. It's more of a spoken word thing that he does with Jethro Tull. But he's also probably 80. A Time for Everything Inside, Play in Time, and then my favorite track on the album, the final one, Society, You're a Woman. Really clever album, clever track. Lots of nice interplay on the keyboards between John Evan and Martin Barr on guitar. And of course, Ian Anderson's outstanding flute play. Yeah, of the early Jethro Tull, I can recommend this one. If you don't have it in your collection, definitely check it out. I mean, it has been, as I say, I've got it on CD, and I think mine is a remastered version. It has been released numerous times over the years. But there we go, Jethro Tull's Benefit. From around about that same period, early 70s, Genesis, Foxtrot. I'm getting in my prog hat on here. I thought I'd haul this out of my collection. I hadn't listened to it in a while. This is a fairly new copy. There's the lyrics inside. A couple of photographs of the guys, Steve Hackett and Phil Collins. Peter Gabriel, of course, he was still in the band. Who else is there? Tony Banks on keyboards. And of course Mike Rutherford on bass and bass pedals and 12-string guitar and voices and cello. Yeah, really great album this. And for me the standout tracks are Get 'Em Out by Friday, Watcher of the Skies, a quite lengthy track which starts off side 1. Of course my favorite is the big hit that came off this album, Supper's Ready, with some really interesting lyrics from Peter Gabriel. What else is on here? The Guaranteed Eternal Sanctuary Man. This is a great album. And I never really became a fan of later Genesis when it was just the first 2 that he did with Phil Collins and lead vocals were great. Trick of the Tail and Wind and Wuthering. I really enjoyed those because those were still similar to the Peter Gabriel era, but later on they became just too commercial for me. All the hit singles, and I know they made a lot of money and all the rest of it, but This is the Genesis that I prefer, the early stuff, when they were really trying, they really had their prog rock hat on and trying all sorts of things. And you know, Genesis, out of all those classic prog rock bands, had their very own sound. I guess you could almost call it like a very English sound to their music, if that makes any sense at all. But yeah, this one is definitely worth checking out. Probably one of the heavier ones from the early. This one, and I think my favorite is probably Selling England by the Pound, which had the Carpet Crawlers and a couple of other tracks for Fifth, or what was that track? Yeah, anyway, you know the one I'm talking about. So there we go, Foxtrot by Genesis, brilliant stuff. What have we got here? The Sweet, Give Us a Wink. And this one comes with a cover like that, and you'll see the eye comes up. There we go. He's winking. They're winking at you. Yeah, for me, this is the heaviest Sweet album. Not the poppy stuff on here. Great drumming, excellent guitar work. And just want to go through some of the tracks here quickly. The Lies in Your Eyes, Cockroach. The riff in that is just in your face. Keep It In, 4th of July. Some interesting lyrics. Action, that was I think a hit off this album. Yesterday's Rain, White Mice, and then the last track is called Healer. It's like a bluesy kind of throbbing song, which is really cool, but different. Just want to see if I can give you the names of the guys in the band. Andy Scott, all guitars, vocals, Chelly synthesizers, Steve Priest, bass guitar, vocals, Brian Connolly, lead vocals, and Mick Tucker, brilliant drumming on here, all percussion and vocals. Yeah, there's a sort of a drawing of the guys, not a photograph as such. I really like this. I mean, you know, a lot of the Sweet stuff, my very first 7 single was Ballroom Blitz from the Sweet, and that was a very commercial track, but these guys could rock out as hard as anybody. And yeah, an album worth checking out. Sweets, Give Us a Wink. I think it says on the album, winking is bad for you. Similar time period, from Scotland, Nazareth, Hair of the Dog, for me the strongest album from the 70s. Dan McCavity and the guys. This cover has also seen some better days on the Vertigo label. The album itself is okay, but yeah, this cover's a bit damaged. Also, I can't remember where I got this from. Was it from somebody just giving it to me? I know there was a lady across the road from me, sadly passed away, and she left me a whole lot of records, and I think this might have been one of them. I might be wrong. I have changed the inner sleeve. The record itself doesn't look too bad. So there we go, Nazareth's Hair of the Dog. I'll just give you a quick rundown of the tracks. Hair of the Dog, the title track, with that interesting refrain, something about call me a son of a bitch. Miss Misery, great track. Love Hurts, of course that's the big hit off the album. I don't play that track, I skip it. I don't ever need to hear that song again. Changing Times, and then side 2, Beggar's Day, which is a great track. You know, the drumming and the guitar work and everything, it's very riff based, this album, as opposed to some of the later Nazareth stuff. Rose in the Heather, Whiskey Drinking Woman, also good. And the final track, Please Don't Judas Me. Dan McCavity, lead vocals, Manny Charlton, Pete Agnew, and Daryl Sweet, and that's the classic Nazareth lineup, the band from Scotland. Great cover, evil looking dogs. It's almost like a, what's that guy, Roger Dean. It's like a Roger Dean cover, but I don't think, somebody called Dave Rowe did the cover for this. And then finally, from Seattle, the band Heart and Little Queen. Yeah, this has always been my favorite Heart from the 70s. There's a back shot of the band. This is their Led Zeppelin album. Listen to this and tell me you don't hear Led Zeppelin. I do. Every time I listen to it, especially the second track on side 1, Love Alive, with an acoustic piece to it. Sylvan song as well, Dream of the Archer. The two big hits obviously from side 1 are Kick It Out and then Barracuda. I mean, come on, you all know Barracuda, that great riff. Little Queen, the starter track's also really good. Treat Me Well, Say Hello, Cry to Me, and then Go On Cry. Yeah, I like this album a lot. And of course, it's got the two Wilson sisters, Anne and Nancy. Anne and Nancy. Gee, what is in this coffee? Yeah, well, they were much younger there. I think Anne has recently had a birthday, if I'm not mistaken, and I think she must be late 70s now. And there's Nancy Wilson. I believe they're back together because they had a bit of a falling out, but they're back together and they're doing the touring thing again, which is great. And yeah, very sort of staged photograph there, trying to look all sort of gypsy-like, I guess. Little Queen from Heart. So that's just some of the stuff that I've been listening to. But as I mentioned previously, right at the beginning of the video, do check out the two new tracks from Deep Purple. They're well worth a listen. And I think that comes out on the 3rd of July. And my birthday's 3 days after that on the 6th. So then I'll be grabbing myself a copy. See if I can't get one of the, these days they release everything in this colored vinyl, which I think is quite cool. So maybe I'll get a purple vinyl, who knows. There we go, guys. Take it easy. Thanks for watching. Please down below, if you haven't yet, subscribe. And give me any comments. Thumbs up will be fantastic. It's pretty cold here these days in Cape Town. We're expecting rain, I think, either tomorrow or the next day. I've got some family coming down from Holland. My nephew and his kid. So it'd be nice to see them. Don't often get to see these folks. And so that would be cool. That's my plans for the next couple of days. And I'll catch up with you guys again in another video soon. I didn't go to the Waterfront vinyl fair because I went to the one in Fisher, which I showed you in the previous video. So I didn't have any of that. But I'll probably be going to another one soon, and then I'll tell you exactly what I'll find. Take it easy, guys. I'll catch you soon. Bye-bye.